It's on.
Okay, so good evening. Tonight we'll be doing perek 7, seventh chapter, part 2. So to recap, in part 1, we learned about being diligent before performing a mitzvah. In this perek, we'll be learning about zerizut during the performance of a mitzvah. This is the second part of zerizut, and it should really take place at the beginning of performing the mitzvah. Meaning, I grabbed the opportunity to perform a mitzvah, now I must perform it with diligence so I can complete the mitzvah. So there's diligence before, there is it before the mitzvah, and diligence while doing the mitzvah. But it should not be just to get rid of the mitzvah. Sometimes we start a mitzvah, but then we just want to quickly finish it off. That's not the way it should be. It should not look at it, we should not look at it like it's a burden, and so therefore we want to finish it fast. Zerizut, diligence, and speed should be out of fear that maybe I won't have a chance to finish my mitzvah if I delay performing it. Very often, people start performing a mitzvah with great enthusiasm, but after a while, the excitement wanes, goes away, and then the tendency to be lazy comes back again, tempting them to leave the mitzvah and not finish it. המתחיל במצווה אומרים לו גמור. Chachamim teach us that one who starts a mitzvah, we tell him finish it. Just as it is important to start it, it is just as important to finish it. Or sometimes there are obstacles to finish the mitzvah. Therefore, having zerizut, being diligent while performing a mitzvah, is so important, so one can finish it. Chachamim tell us in the Gemara, כל המתחיל המצווה ולא גומר אותה, קובר אשתו ובניו, השם ישמו. In the Gemara it says that one who starts a mitzvah and he does not finish it, he buries his wife and his children, Hashem yishmo. And where do we learn this? We see this with Yehuda. When the brothers wanted to kill Yosef, they all grabbed him and they stripped off his ketonet, the coat of color that he was wearing, and they said, we're going to kill him. Yehuda said, why kill him? He's our brother, which was great. So he started saving Yosef. But instead of actually completing the mitzvah, and completing the mitzvah would have been to actually tell the brothers, stop, we have got to take back Yosef to our father. They would have listened to him because they respected Yehuda very much. And he should have taken Yosef back. Instead, he did not finish the mitzvah. What did he say? Oh, let's sell him as a slave. And that's what they did. They sold him as a slave. And so because he failed to complete the mitzvah by returning Yosef to his father, not too long after, Yehuda's wife died and his two sons. The truth is that Yehuda's sons had committed sins, averot, and they were deserving to die. Had Yehuda completed the mitzvah of saving Yosef, Hashem would have spared the lives of his two sons. Only because he was Yehuda, because Yehuda was deserving of the punishment, and they too were deserving of punishment, so they died. And he suffered their loss and the loss of his wife. Chachamim said also, En ha-mitzvah nikret ela al shem gomra. A mitzvah is credited only to one who completed it. Ramchal brings the midrash that because before Yosef died in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, he told Bnei Israel, the time will come when you're going to be taken out of Mitzrayim. When you do leave, please take my coffin with you. Don't leave my coffin here in Mitzrayim. And actually, Ben Israel took out also out of Mitzrayim the coffin of each one of the founders of the Shevatim, of the tribes. So the night of Yetziat Mitzrayim, all of Ben Israel were getting ready and were very excited. They were just packing whatever it was that they owned and getting what they needed to leave. But Moshe spent his night looking for Yosef's coffin. He couldn't find it until Serach bat Asher, Serach, the daughter of Asher, she, who had lived a long, long time, and she actually, because Yaakov blessed her, she actually never died. She went straight to Gan Eden. But maybe some other occasion I'll explain this. But that night, she saw Moshe walking around and looking for the coffin, trying to figure out where could the coffin be, the coffin of Yosef. And she told him it is deep inside the Nile, in the river. The Egyptians sunk it to the bottom of the river. They put the coffin into a coffin of metal and they dumped it in the river. Why? Because they knew that as long as the Jews would not find his coffin, they could not leave, and they didn't want the Jews to leave. So she told him where to find it, and Moshe did find it. He wrote the name of Hashem on a plaque of gold, and he threw it in the river, and the coffin came up. Ben Israel wandered in the desert for 40 years. The coffin traveled with them wherever they went. It never went bad, there never was a smell, nothing, ever, which was a really miracle. Then Ben Israel had to go to Eretz Israel, and as we know, Moshe was not allowed to go inside Eretz Israel. But instead, it was the people from the tribe of Yosef who buried Yosef in Shechem. So the mitzvah is not called accredited to Moshe, since he never finished the job. He never finished the mitzvah, but it is accredited to the people who actually buried it. Then Shlomo HaMelech tells us, Chazita ish mahir b'mlachto, לפני מלכים, יתייצב. בל יתייצב לפני חשוכים. Shlomo HaMelech says like this, if you have seen a man who is diligent in his work, and he works very hard, you know what? He'll stand in front of kings. He will not stand in front of lowly people. In other words, this meaning is that a person who's diligent in his work, he will merit to perform his work for kings. It doesn't have to be kings. It means that he'll go up and in his job. He's not always going to stay in a low job, but he will actually become maybe a CEO. He'll be, I don't know, the most important worker for the boss, whatever it is. But he will go up because he's so diligent with his work. And in Shir HaShirim, Shlomo said, Yechasu lo hashevach hazeh, that Chachamim are actually praising Shlomo about what? Al shemiher b'mlechet binyan bet HaMikdash. Chachamim praise Shlomo for being diligent and hurry when building the Bet HaMikdash. The Bet HaMikdash took 7 years for Shlomo to build. Shlomo had over 3,000 workers working on the Bet HaMikdash. It was a beautiful, magnificent building. There never was and never will be a building like it. But he had workers working around the clock, constantly, and many, many workers were working on the Bet HaMikdash. So really, the Bet HaMikdash should have taken longer than 7 years, but took only 7 years. And we see also, we learn that the house of Shlomo, the palace of Shlomo, took 13 years. Why 13 years? Because he wasn't in such a hurry. He had regular amount of workers working. They were not working around the clock, and the palace was not so magnificent, and it wasn't so big. And Shlomo was much more relaxed when it came to actually building his house. So we see here the difference. When it came to do the Bet HaMikdash, he was very diligent about it, and he was constantly taking care of it. Whether for his own house, okay, it will be finished whenever it will be finished. So Chachamim also teach us that they praised Moshe for the Melechet HaMishkan, for building the Mishkan, the tabernacle. First of all, when he told Ben Israel to bring gold and silver and wool and dye and bronze and copper and all the different material that were needed for building the Mishkan, the tabernacle, it took them 3 days. They had a list of 15 different material that they could choose from, and they could bring as much as they wanted. It took them 3 days until Moshe said, stop, that's it. We cannot have any more. Every piece that was brought, of whatever it was, whatever material they brought, Moshe had with him the Nesi'im, the leaders of the Shivatim, and each person that brought something, Moshe would ask, who are you, what's your name, and to which Shevet tribe do you belong? Everything was recorded. Within 3 months, the whole tabernacle, the Mishkan, was already done. So Chachamim tells really should have taken a lot longer. But because Moshe was so diligent, Betzalel was very diligent, Achisamach was very diligent. All those people, they wanted, they had a desire, they were so excited, they had so much enthusiasm into building the Mishkan. It was done within 3 months. So we see here that the actions of the tzaddikim were done with zerizut. And here again, the Ramchal brings us an example from Avraham Avinu. When Avraham did the Brit Milah, on the 3rd day, as we know, it's on the 3rd day of any surgery, it's the hardest day. It's more painful before the body starts healing. And Avraham Avinu, it was very hot, and he was 99 years old. And it was very hot, and he was in a lot of pain. But he was more in pain because there were no guests. And Hashem made that day very, very hard, just so Avram wouldn't have to get up and take care of them, because Hashem knew that he would get up and he would take care of them. Finally, when Hashem realized that nothing would stop Avram from performing the mitzvah of Achnasat Orchim, of bringing in guests, so Hashem sent the 3 Malachim, the 3 angels, except that Avram did not know that they were angels, not at that point, only much later. When he saw them from far, he ran. He was talking to Hashem. He said, please, Hashem, wait. I have guests here. I have a mitzvah to perform. And he ran to the Malach, to those guests, and he brought them. He brought them under the tree. And then he went to Sarah, and he said, quickly, Sarah, we have guests. Quickly, bake, make a dough, and bake ugot matzot, bake matzot, because it was Pesach. And then he ran to get his servant, and Chachamim tell us his servant was actually Ishmael, and he told him, "Go quickly to the sheep. Go and get a calf. We need it. We need it for cooking for our guests." And why did he choose Ishmael? Just to train him in doing mitzvot. Then we have the example also of when Eliezer was sent by Abraham to find a wife for Yitzchak. He came and he said to himself, "How am I going to? I don't know anybody in this place. How am I going to find a wife for Yitzchak, for the son of my master?" So he decided to go to the well, knowing that that was the place where people would come to get water, and young girls too would come to get water. And he was not mistaken, because it was late afternoon. That's when people came to get water, and he saw Rivka. He actually, the Midrash says us, he saw that when Rivka put her jug in the well, the water actually rose and filled up her jug, which was really something very unusual. He recognized this sign. In his prayer, he said, "The girl that I'm going to ask, that she should give me to drink, and she gives me to drink, and she volunteers to give to drink to my camels," there were 10 of them, "I'll know then that she is the one chosen for Yitzchak." So when he saw the water filling up the jug, he ran to her, didn't want to miss her. And he said to her, "Please, may I have some water?" She let down her jug from her shoulders as she was carrying it on her shoulder. She gave him to drink. And then she said, "I'll also give to your camels to drink." And these are the words that Eliezer was waiting for. And the pasuk said, "Veha'ish mishta'eh la." He was stunned. He couldn't believe, because Rivka was running back and forth, back and forth. If we understand how much water a camel drinks a day, a camel per day, a camel can drink up to about 150 gallons of water. And he had 10 of them. He had workers, he had slaves with him, but she didn't tell him, "Could you please get your slave to help me?" She didn't. She just did it. And she did it in a hurry, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until they finished drinking. They didn't just drink a little bit, but until they actually felt, the camel felt, this is it. They couldn't drink anymore. So we see very much how zerizut is part of the life of a tzaddik. How a tzaddik does mitzvot with zerizut, with diligence, in a hurry, but bishlemut. Bishlemut means it has to be perfect. Sometimes when we do things and we do them in a hurry, then we do them wrong. But that's not the case. That's not the way we want it to be done. And then the Ramchal brings also the example of the mother of Shimshon. Shimshon's parents could not have any children. And one day a malach came and appeared to the mother of Shimshon, Samson, and said to her, "You are going to have a child, and this child is going to be special." Now, she was so stunned, and he left. And he came back again another day, and when she told her husband, then the malach came. So the husband said, "Next time he comes, come and get me." So next time again he came, and he told her again, "You're going to have a child, and this child is going to save Ben Israel, is going to be special." So she said to him, "Please wait, my husband wants to speak to you." And she ran for the mitzvah. She was so excited she was going to be blessed with a child, but she ran for the mitzvah because she thought that he was just a regular person, and she wasn't sure that he was a malach. And she wanted to do the mitzvah of Achnasat Orchim, especially after getting such wonderful news. So we see that the Torah and the Navi are teaching us how important it is to acquire this trait of zerizut. This is how the tzaddikim performed mitzvot. Ramchal teaches us that to perform a mitzvah quickly is not enough. It has to be done quickly and carefully, because many times we do things quickly but not necessarily properly, bishlemut, complete, perfect. May Hashem help us perform the mitzvot the way He likes us to do so, with zerizut and bishlemut properly. And in the zechut of this learning, of this limud, may Hashem bless us all with bracha, hatzlacha, breiut, nachat, shalom, parnasa tova, and zivugim. We'll see you tomorrow.